Hey everyone, it's Jananie and welcome back to my channel, This Story Ain't Over. Today I thought I would do a quick fun little video reacting to the Goodreads Choice Award nominees. Obviously, like many other readers and booktubers out here, I've been following the Goodreads Choice Awards for years, and this is the first year where I've actually known when they were going to release the nominee picks and like when they're going to release the final round and all of that. So I thought it might be fun to do a little reaction video to what's on the list this year, because I always find I'm a little shocked by what's on the list of nominees, and I'm also sometimes pleasantly surprised. My hope is that after I go through all the nominees, I can pick one of the genre categories to actually read a few of the books and maybe do a reading vlog. If there's a particular genre that you'd like me to do a reading vlog for, then definitely leave that down below so that I can take that into consideration. And if you enjoyed this video, then bear in mind that I'll also be doing a reaction video when the final round comes out on November 28th, but that will be on my exclusive bindery community, which you can sign up for down below. It'll be some exclusive content just for the people there. With that said, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the Goodreads Choice Awards, there is usually a category for each genre, and there's typically about 20 nominees in the first round, I believe. And I am by no means an expert of like what's popular or anything like that, but I do feel like I have a pretty good grasp of some genres and like what the big names are. So I'm curious to see if I'm going to be really shocked by some of these nominees. Okay, so let's get into the categories. I'm already seeing some thumbnails here, but I'm going to ignore it. Let's, I guess, start with fiction. Actually, no, let's start with something that I'm not as invested in so we can lead up to something I'm more invested in. So let's start with humor. I'm probably not going to know any of the books on this list, but that's fine. Okay, we have a bunch of books that I don't actually know. Oh, this is by a South Asian author. I feel like humor books I'm not really hugely into, and this is so funny, I actually don't know a single one of these books. I'm totally not tapped into the humor space. Like if I'm gravitating towards nonfiction, it's usually like memoirs or like something where I'm gonna learn something, and I tend not to really relate to humor in a written form because I think it's sometimes hard to get the tone across. This is actually really funny that I don't know a single one of these. So I'm literally just gonna skip to the next category because I have nothing to say about this. Okay, history and biography. Okay, we have, oh, the Elon Musk biography. Do I know anything else here? Oh, I've seen this one around the wager. But aside from that, I don't know any of these. I'm not surprised by that. I don't really pick up history or general biography books all that often. Let's move on. Memoir and autobiography. I feel like there's a few here that maybe I'll know. Okay, so obviously we have Brittany's memoir, which I do want to read at some point. We have Spare by Prince Harry. Oh, I didn't know that Kerry Washington had a memoir. That's interesting. What else? Oh, of course we have Page Boy, Elliot Page. I did read that one. Really enjoyed it. Oh, I didn't know that Viet Thanh Nguyen had a memoir. This is the author of The Sympathizer, which is a book that has been on my radar for a while now. And that's about it. Okay, I feel like out of this category, if I was to vote for one, it probably would end up being Page Boy. So maybe I'll cast my vote after I put up this video so that any of you following me on Goodreads don't get spoiled. All right, let's go to nonfiction. Ooh, okay. A bunch of these I semi-recognize. I recognize Doppelganger, the Naomi Klein one. Ooh, The Creative Act. I feel like I've seen this cover around everywhere, but honestly don't know too much about it. Oh, I didn't know Roxane Gay had another book out. That's interesting. I would love to pick that one up. 8 Rules of Love, Jay Shetty. Obviously, I know. I sometimes listen to his podcast. Poverty by America. I feel like I've heard a lot about this one. I don't know if it's actually good. If any of you know, let me know. Aside from that, oh, this seems interesting. Butts. A backstory. Interesting. It's a book about butts. Humans have a complicated relationship with butts. If there are any nonfiction books on this list that you guys think are great, let me know. Same with any of the other categories that I've just kind of skipped over because I don't really care. Let me know if there's anything good that I should pick up. Let's go to debut novel. Oh my god, actually no, this is so exciting because debut novel can be like a little dicey because sometimes books can be nominated in one genre and then also in debut novel. But I'm just noticing now that between romance and fantasy, they've got a new category, romantasy. what the fuck is going on? I can already see the books that are gonna be on that list, and this is like boggling my mind that Goodreads has given in to the romantasy trend. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but it's just like wild that this is like a whole ass category this time. I'm shooketh. Let's go to something a little lower stakes for me. Let's go to young adult fiction, because I haven't read a lot of YA recently. Okay, I recognize a few of these. Like, this is the author of A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Oh, I've seen the American Royals around before. This is the author of The Inheritance Games, I think, yeah. Talia Hibbert, I love her adult romance novels. I've seen this cover around by Angeline Booley. And same with the Davenports. And I've seen this around, We Deserve Monuments. Ali Hazelwood's young adult novel. I thought this, oh, this has already come out. Okay, I thought it was coming out later. Wait a second. Is this another Truly Devious book that I did not know about? Okay, now I'm learning some things. Oh, interesting. Okay, so this is the 5th Truly Devious book. I know there is a 4th one, which I own and have not read, but I didn't know there was a 5th one, so this has me intrigued. Maybe I will pick this up sometime soon. I'm not super invested in this category. I don't really know many of them. I haven't even read a single one, because again, I haven't been reading much young adult, so I'm not surprised. But young adult fantasy and science fiction, I feel like I might be a little bit more invested in. We'll see. Okay. Ooh, there's some that I don't recognize, but these look very pretty. Okay, so we have The Stolen Heir by Holly Black, obviously. This is the new book set in the world of The Cruel Prince, so that makes sense. What is this book? Spice Road? Arabian-inspired land? How have I not heard of this? It's a gorgeous cover. Let's see what it's about. Epic fantasy series set in an Arabian-inspired land with secret spice magic. Race to protect her nation from monsters lurking in the sand. 16-year-old Imani must fight to find her brother, whose betrayal is now the country's greatest threat. Ooh, it sounds cool. Let's continue. This also looks cool. Foul Heart Huntsman. This is the next book in the Foul Lady Fortune series by Chloe Gong. I have been meaning to read both books in this series because they're companions to her previous series, These Violent Delights, which I've only read the first book of. I've been meaning to pick up the sequel for ages now. And I do like her writing, so I do want to pick them up at some point, but I just haven't gotten around to it. House of Roots and Ruin. Oh my god, is this the sequel to that other book that I've read before? Oh my god, what is it called? What is it called? I need to find it, because I remember this author. House of Salt and Sorrows. Oh my god, I did not know this book was getting a sequel. I read it like ages ago. It was a very, very creepy gothic book, but it would appear that multiple years later, this has gotten a sequel. So the first book was a retelling of 12 Dancing Princesses, I think, or is that the Barbie movie name of the story? Something like that. This is very, very interesting. I was like sufficiently creeped out by the first book in the series, so I'm intrigued that this exists. Okay, let's go back. Chain of Thorns is obviously on the list. I have actually not finished Chain of Thorns as of this moment. I started it when it came out. I got like halfway through, and then somehow I just didn't have the willpower to get through the rest. And so I've set it down, but I do want to finish it before the end of the year because this keeps happening to me. I start the last book of Cassandra Clare series and then I don't finish them. Like the same thing happened to me with the Queen of Air and Darkness, like the last book in the Dark Artifices series. So I really just need to finish it. We've also got the new Alexandra Bracken book, Silver and the Bone. Oh, I didn't know that this was inspired by an Arthurian legend. I feel like Alexandra Bracken books have been sort of hit or miss for me, so I'm not particularly sure that I would like this one. We have Divine Rivals, which has been super big on TikTok. These Infinite Threats is a sequel to This Woven Kingdom by Tara Mafi. I love Tara Mafi books, but this series just did not do it for me. I haven't actually read her Shadow Me series either, but I love her contemporaries. But yeah, did not feel the first book in the series, so I don't think I'll pick up this one. I've been hearing a lot of people say they love the Once Upon a Broken Heart series by Stephanie Garber, and I'm intrigued because yeah, I feel like I've heard so many people talk about it and I just want to know what the hype is. Alrighty, so we've gone through young adult fiction, young adult fantasy, and sci-fi. Let's move to something, again, less stakes for me. Let's go to mystery and thriller because I barely read mystery thrillers. I already see a bunch that I recognize here. Leftover Women, I have this one from Book of the Month. I've heard great things about Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers because it's by Jessie Q. Sutanto, who is the author of Dial A for Aunties. I have some questions for you by Rebecca Mackay. I have the audiobook for this, and I've heard so many people post this book, and it's been on like so many lists, like exciting new release lists, and I'm just intrigued, but I don't know anything about it. I also recognize, obviously, Rachel Hawkins, The Villa, S.A. Cosby, his new book. I'm intrigued. I may want to read this one. All the Dangerous Things, Stacey Willingham. I have this book as well somewhere on my shelves, and I do think I want to read it. Karen Slaughter, Makes Sense, Riley Sager. These are classic mystery thriller authors. Obviously, I haven't read from any of them because I don't really read mystery thrillers, but maybe I should. Happiness Falls, Angie Kim. I feel like I recognize this author. Let me see. This is by a Korean-American author. Oh, Miracle Creek. Okay, I remember Miracle Creek being a really big book a while back. Maybe I want to pick that up, and also this. Okay, so I feel like there's a lot of big names here, which makes sense. Richard Osman, Alice Feeney. So not surprised by this one in the slightest, really. But again, I don't read much mystery thriller. But this does have me kind of excited because I have quite a few of these books on my bookshelves and on my TBR. So maybe this would be a good category to do a reading vlog for. Okay, next let's go to historical fiction. I recognize some of these. There's some big names here and ones that I've seen around, a couple that I have on my TBR. I've seen this book around, River Sing Me Home. Banyan Moon I've seen around as well. Isabel Allende, I've read one of her books before, which I kind of enjoyed. Wayward I've seen around a lot as well. House of Eve, I think, is one that I've heard a lot of great things about, and I think it's a Reese Witherspoon book club pick. Yeah, so I do want to pick this one up at some point. Did you hear about Kitty Carr? Another Reese Witherspoon pick. This one I actually have a copy of it somewhere, so it's on my TBR. And then Covenant of Water. This is by a South Asian author. It's set in Kerala in India, and I am intrigued. I do want to pick this one up, so it's on my TBR. I think I have the ebook for it, so I do want to pick it up. Okay, so this is a pretty straightforward category. Like, I see ones that I recognize, and it's another good category that I could potentially read a few books from for a reading vlog, so this is another contender. Let's go to romance because I'm not hugely invested in romance and I don't really read that much romance. Ooh, okay. I've seen a few of these around. The 7-Year Slip I've seen around, Ashley Poston. I believe Ashley Poston has written a bunch of like YA books. I've also seen romantic comedy around like everywhere, like this cover, and I've been intrigued, but I don't know if it's something that I would actually like. We have Lauren Asher, Christina Lauren, Carly Fortune. I've seen this book around a lot. Obviously Emily Henry, Happy Place. Unpopular opinion, but I didn't really love Happy Place all that much in comparison to her previous books. Not particularly one that I would vote for. Oh, Love Theoretically. I honestly really loved Love Theoretically, and I think since I haven't read basically many of these books, I may actually vote for Love Theoretically, but we'll see. All right, so this one, I recognize a couple of the titles, but nothing is really particularly on my TBR, and I'm not a huge romance reader, so I don't feel like this is quite the category that I might want to go for. But if enough of you let me know which of the romance books you think I might like, maybe I'll do this category. Let's go to science fiction because I feel like that's another one where I feel like I don't know too many of the titles. Let's see. Okay. TJ Klune. Oh, I didn't know that this was a sci-fi. I thought it was more of a fantasy, but I guess it has androids in it. Okay. This is the author of The House on the Cerulean Sea, which I really enjoyed. I've seen some Desperate Glory around. I think I have an arc of it somewhere. All these covers look really cool, but I don't actually recognize many of these. Okay, Lightbringer, the new Red Rising book. I still need to catch up in this series, but I do have a copy of this. Chain Gang All-Stars. I've heard really amazing things about this. I did not know it was a sci-fi though. I thought it was just like a general fiction book. So that's kind of exciting. I feel like this category has some good ones. I just don't know too much about any of these books. So if you know anything about any of these, if you've read any of them, if you think I would enjoy any of them, let me know down below. Let's go to fantasy. Ooh, okay. Immediately, I recognize like so many more books. Okay, Salman Rushdie's Victory City. I have this on my TBR. I've been meaning to read it. Cassandra Clare's Swordcatcher. I want to pick this one up, but I feel like I may not like it. It's her new adult fantasy series, and I don't know. I just feel like I haven't really been enjoying it when YA authors have been like stepping out of their lane into adults. Like they've more often than not fallen short for me. So we'll see. Alexi Harrow, I've heard really great things about her book. Starling House I've seen around a lot. There's a bunch of these Greek mythology retellings that keep going around. I feel like I've seen so many that I'm just like, they must all be the same. Hellbent, obviously, loved this. I think if I'm gonna vote for anything on this list, it's probably gonna be Hellbent. It's one of the only books I've read on this list, and I absolutely loved it. We've got Last Tale of the Flower Bride by Roshni Chokshi. This book honestly didn't hit it for me, even though I had really high expectations for it, but I'm not surprised that it got nominated because it's been pretty popular. A lot of people have been reading it. I think it's been either people have loved it or hated it, and I was more of the variety of not really liking it. Venko I've had on my shelves for a while. It seems like a cozy, witchy fantasy from an indigenous author, so I'm interested in checking this one out, and it's also set in Toronto, which has me excited. Ooh, okay, we've also got Fragile Threads of Power. This is also on my list to read. It's the new book in the Darker Shade of Magic series by V.E. Schwab, and yeah, I have like multiple copies that were sent to me by the publishers, so I do want to pick it up at some point. Encyclopedia of Fairies I've been hearing so much about, and I really want to check it out. It seems like it's gonna be a really cozy, cute fantasy. Bookshops and Bone Dust is the sequel to Legends and Lattes, which is a book I really want to pick up soon. I've heard so many great things about it since it came out. And then Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi, I also have a copy of this, and I've also heard great things about it. It's the new series from the author Shannon Chakraborty, who is the author of the City of Brass trilogy, so I'm intrigued. I feel like I'm gonna like that one, and it's about this like female pirate. Okay, so those are the major ones that I know from here. If I had to guess which one would win, it's probably gonna be, I think, Hellbent or Fragile Threads of Power, because V.E. Schwab. I feel like both of those authors pull a lot of fans, so we'll see. Okay, let's go into horror. Ooh, okay. I already recognize a bunch of these because I feel like I've been on a horror kick and I've been wanting to read more horror, so I've been just seeing more around. Okay, so we've obviously got Silver Nitrate by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. Very excited by this. I love Sylvia Moreno Garcia. I have started reading this one. I have some thoughts about it. I don't think it's my favorite of her books, so I don't necessarily think I may vote for it for horror category. I have Lone Woman on ebook. I've heard really great things about this. Don't Fear the Reaper is the new book in the My Heart is a Chainsaw series. I've been meaning to pick that book up for a while, so maybe I'll get the chance to do that along with the sequel. Ooh, I'm intrigued that Rouge is in the horror category because I feel like it's not that scary or horror-ish. It's more on the like fairy tale supernatural side, I would say, but I could even still slot it in like general fiction, in my opinion, at least. Didn't really love this one in comparison to Mona Awed's previous books. I feel like it's been slotted here because her previous books had more horror elements to them. A House with Good Bones by T. Kingfisher. I've been meaning to pick this one up. It's like a haunted house story. Vampires of El Norte I have read, and this one didn't hit it for me the way I was hoping for. It's very heavy on the romance and kind of light on the vampires. Yeah, not my favorite, but it was still a good book. Like, it was still a solid 3.5 stars. Natural Beauty I've been hearing a lot about, and I really want to pick this one up. Sisters of a Lost Nation I've been seeing around. How to Sell a Haunted House, Grady Hendrix. I absolutely love Grady Hendrix, the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. Our Share of the Night, Maria Enriquez. I've been seeing this book around a lot. I've seen it in the bookstore, and it's like a massive book, so that's kind of why I haven't tried to pick it up, but I do want to read it at some point because it seems pretty interesting, but I've heard that it's kind of a dense read. Okay, so I'm not super surprised by this category as well. In the back of my mind, it seems like something is missing here, that maybe I'm just imagining it, maybe they got slotted into a different category. We'll see. Let's do romantasy. Ooh, oh my god, there's so many. How do I not know any of these? I know like 2, maybe 3. Oh my god. And they all look exactly the same. You can just tell by the way the cover art has been done that these are all of the same variety. This is so wild to me that this is like a whole ass genre now. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just so astounded by how the popularity of some of these books has just like carved this whole other category in reading. The only ones I actually know on this list are Hurricane Wars, I've heard about, the Jennifer L. Armentrout book, I've heard obviously of Fourth Wing. I've heard about Zodiac Academy, but I'm not sure. But aside from that, I don't actually recognize the rest. However, I am noticing that there are some like people of color authors. I was a little scared when I went into this category that it was all going to be white authors. So that's nice to see. I would love to hear from all of you though. If you read a lot of romantasy, do you recognize most of these books? Are any of these like just out of nowhere, obscure ones, or are they all also popular? Like, am I just out of the loop because I don't recognize most of these? It might be interesting to do a reading vlog of the romantasy books just because I never read romantasy, and so it would be a fully fresh take and reaction to the genre. So let me know if you guys would like me to do a reading vlog of the romantasy books because I feel like that might be interesting. But let me know which ones I should read. Okay, we're on to the last two categories. So let me do fiction, and then I'm gonna do debut novel just because debut novel will have books from the other categories. So there's a chance that one of the fiction novels will be in debut novel. Moment of truth. Oh my god, okay. Already, I recognize so many of these books, so that has me excited. But the thing I'm most excited about is the fact that Evil Eye by Ataf Rum is here at the top, and this is by a Palestinian American author, and I'm so excited that this is a nominee and that this voice is being uplifted right now during this time. So this is definitely on my TBR to read. Also, The Collected Regrets of Clover, I've seen this around a lot. Mame, I've heard a lot about. I've heard some interesting things about it though, like some critiques of it, which I'm intrigued by, so maybe I'll pick this one up just to see for myself. Yellowface is obviously on here. I'm so glad Big Swiss is on here. Truth be told, if I had to choose one that like I personally love out of the ones I've read so far on this list, I think I would choose Big Swiss. Even though I loved Yellowface, Big Swiss just hit me in another way, in another level, and I just loved it so much. It talks so much about mental health in this like really funny satirical way, and it's just like a book that really gets to my shriveled little heart. Okay, aside from that, I do recognize like Burnham Wood, The Wishing Game, Tom Lake, Hello Beautiful I've seen around a lot, Wellness, Pineapple Street. Honestly, this seems like a good category for me to potentially read more from. I think I definitely want to read these three up here, and then maybe some of the other ones for a reading vlog. We'll see. Okay, we're on to the last category, which is a debut novel. Ooh, okay. This is quite interesting. I'm seeing a lot of books that I didn't expect to see here, and I actually also thought that we were gonna have more of the like romantasy and fantasy books on here. But I guess like the ones that I was thinking of, like I was thinking of Fourth Wing, but I guess that might not be her first book, so that's probably why it's not nominated for a debut novel. I feel like this is a really nice mix of books though. The Bandit Queens, I'm intrigued that it's only on this list. I thought it would have been on one of the other ones as well, like mystery thriller, because I've seen it around so much, and it's just strange to me that it's not on one of the other lists, but I guess the other books had like much higher, you know, rankings. There's obviously some overlap, like Mame, Chain Gang All-Stars, Banyan Moon, Pineapple Street, Collected Regrets of Clover, Looking for Jane, Wayward, like so many overlaps from other categories. Okay, so this one is also promising for a reading vlog because I feel like there's several books on here that are on my TBR, but there's also a chance that if I did a reading vlog for one of the other categories, I could probably also hit a bunch of books that are on the debut novel list as well. Okay, with that said, we've gone through all of the categories on the Goodreads Choice Awards nominees list. Obviously, I don't have much to say about a lot of these because I haven't read a lot of the books that are on each category. So now it's a matter of picking a couple categories and reading a few of the books to get a better sense of what I should vote for. Thank you all so much for watching, for joining me for this little reaction. Let me know down below which of the categories you think I should read from first, if you were surprised by any of these nominees, if you are upset that any books weren't on the nominee list. I'm trying to think if there are any that I'm upset that are not on here, but I think I have such terrible recall and I honestly can't remember what was published this year versus like a year or two ago. So even if there's a book that I think should have been on here, it's probably a book that was like published a couple years ago or something. So I think for now I'm not like too butthurt about any of these nominations, but I'm still blown that we have a romantasy category, and I feel like this is going to be super interesting. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. Go check out my binder community down below if you want to get more exclusive content from me and potentially see a reaction for the finalists round for the Goodreads Choice Awards. And I'll see you guys in my next video. So please remember that this story ain't over. Bye!